Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. A recent report by independent researchers from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and the Johns Hopkins Center for Humanitarian Health in the United States has warned of a looming public health crisis in Gaza, even if the fighting were to cease immediately. The report predicts that even with a ceasefire, approximately 8,000 more people could die over the next 6 months due to the compounded challenges of rebuilding infrastructure and addressing health concerns. The Israel and Hamas conflict has left hospitals devastated, with over 85% of Gaza's 2.3 million residents left displaced. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme announced on Tuesday a halt in food deliveries to the isolated northern region of Gaza, sparking concerns about the potential for widespread starvation. Ksenia Karolina, a 33-year-old amateur ballerina with dual US-Russian citizenship, has been detained in Russia and is facing life imprisonment for allegedly donating $51 to support Ukraine's war effort. The woman's arrest on charges of treason was announced by Russia's Federal Security Service, accusing her of raising funds for the Ukrainian military. Karolina reportedly obtained US citizenship through marriage to an American and transferred a sum to the Razom for Ukraine, a non-profit Ukrainian group. As per reports, she is usually based in Los Angeles. Her arrest coincides with the Russian court's decision to extend the detention of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, who faces espionage charges. While Mr. Gershkovich and his employer have issued denials, the Russian government has not provided evidence to support the charges. Bishop Pierre-André Dumas of the Diocese of Anse-à-Veau and Miragoâneis is reportedly stable following an explosion in Port-au-Prince on Sunday evening. The Haitian Bishops' Conference confirmed that Bishop Dumas was affected by a blast at his accommodation, with no further details provided. The explosion comes amid a deepening political, social and economic crisis that Haiti has faced since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021. This incident is the most recent in a series of challenges faced by the Catholic community in the Caribbean nation, which has been grappling with gang violence, homicides and political turmoil. A Catholic couple from Indiana are petitioning the Supreme Court after their son was removed from their home because they refused to use feminine pronouns to address him. Mary and Jeremy Cox's legal representative Beckett contend that Indiana violated their religious views by taking their child away. The authorities claim that the boy was upset about the gender identity issue. The Coxes, who believe in the biblical teachings on human sexuality, sought treatment to address their child's mental health difficulties. Indiana officials placed their son in a so-called gender-affirming home, restricting the Coxes' visitation privileges. The parents now hope that the Supreme Court will protect their parental rights and prevent similar instances from occurring throughout the nation. Archbishop Lucius Iwejuru Ugorji, who is the president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, has denounced the government's ineffective response to rising insecurity in the nation, including oil theft and abduction. The Archbishop was speaking in his opening address for the Nigerian Bishops' Conference Plenary Assembly on Sunday, warning that the country stands on the brink of anarchy as a result of escalating crimes. He urged President Bola Tinubu to prioritise public safety and implement proactive steps. Furthermore, the Archbishop drew attention to issues such as corruption and economic hardships, while warning against the consequences of eliminating fuel subsidies. Despite so many problems, he expressed confidence, however, in the Catholic Church's growth in Nigeria and requested prayers for peace and development. Chaldean Patriarch Louis Raphael Sacco has warned that sectarianism is eroding the sense of national belonging in Iraq, with Christians being drawn into divisive dynamics. He said sectarianism spells self-destruction and warned that this is a critical moment for Christian communities whose survival is endangered not by external foes but by internal ambitions and sectarian rifts, fracturing the unity among believers. In his message released on Sunday, Patriarch Sacco questioned the influence of international and regional forces and corrupt factions that seek to sow division among Iraqis, thus undermining national unity. Catholic bishops in the West African nation of Burkina Faso have raised concerns over persistent insecurity in the country that has severely affected the activities of the local church. Following their plenary assembly in the Catholic Diocese of Kaya last week, Members of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Burkina Faso and Niger said that around 30 parishes and their associated structures remain closed or inaccessible, resulting in the decline of socio-economic works in the country. Pastoral workers have lost job security, while poverty and continuous internal displacement have wrecked the lives of many people. The country has been a hotspot of terrorist attacks for several years. The CIA World Factbook claims that Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State are behind the current turmoil in the nation. On Sunday, massive crowds participated in the March for Democracy in Mexico City and in 100 other locations inside and outside Mexico. The event, organised by the National Civic Front, demanded a free vote in the upcoming 2024 elections. The demonstrations were conducted to oppose reforms promoted by Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, citing its impact on the National Electoral Institute and the authenticity of the 2024 elections, assuring that the Catholic Church is committed to the consolidation of democracy in the country. The Conference of the Mexican Episcopate expressed its solidarity with the participants of the march. In a message, the prelates urged Catholics and Mexican citizens to be informed about candidates' proposals, analyse their government plans, and vote in a free and reasoned manner. At least 24 civilians were reportedly killed by extremist rebels in separate attacks this week in eastern Congo. The Islamic State-affiliated group Allied Democratic Forces killed 13 people in Mambasa territory of Ituri province on Tuesday. Most of the victims were reportedly killed in their homes. The same terrorist group killed 11 people in the neighbouring North Kivu province in Beni territory on Monday. Eastern Congo has seen years of simmering violence, with 120 armed groups fighting for power, land, minerals, or the safety of their communities. Attacks by the ADF have aggravated in recent years and extended to the Ituri and Goma regions. The state of Idaho has asked the US Supreme Court to uphold its prohibition on providing experimental so-called gender-affirming medical treatment to minors. Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador submitted an emergency application seeking to limit the scope of a lower court's order to cover 2 teenagers and their families who challenged the state's ban. Although the families had challenged only certain parts of the law known as the Vulnerable Child Protection Act, a lower court had prohibited Idaho from enforcing its entire law across the state. The Vulnerable Child Protection Act was enacted in the state last April, which penalised healthcare professionals who administered so-called gender-affirming medications to young people. 22 states in the United States of America have already banned gender-affirming medications for children. Sources close to the Catholic charity Aid to the Church in Need have highlighted a rise in acts of religious hatred in the Holy Land. They warn that Christians are facing threats and being compelled to hide their religious identity. The sources informed the group that wearing a cross can lead to trouble for Christians, and they are forced to conceal their faith to avoid problems. In Jerusalem, there have been several instances of verbal abuse targeting priests, Christian pilgrims and followers of other religions. In a recent incident, 2 youths spat at Benedictine abbot Nicodemus Schnabel from the Church of the Dormition. The sources, who have requested anonymity for security reasons, described many Christians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem as facing financial ruin, with unemployment at a record 72%. The owner of social media platform X, Elon Musk, has warned of the grave effects of abortifacient contraceptives on its users. In a post on his platform, he said hormonal birth control makes users fat and increases the risk of depression and suicide. Mr. Musk posted that this is the clear scientific consensus, but that only a few people are aware of it. To substantiate his statement, Musk linked to a 2017 article from Time magazine, along with a 2018 study in the British Journal of General Practice, which affirms the ill effects of hormonal contraceptives. Following his post, a Catholic convert and former White House speechwriter Joshua Charles invited Musk to read the papal encyclical Humani Vitae of Pope Paul VI, which warns about the catastrophic effect of contraceptives. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again next time for more. And do remember, in the meantime, you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.